Julie,
do the thing. Alright, looks like everything's coming through. Okay. Folks at home, let us know if something is hinky or weird. Besides us.
I was gonna say, if you don't want weird, you might as well leave now.
You can hear us. Sweet.
That's good news.
So what about the boys?
The boys.
Duh, boys. I am here.
Everyone make lots of noise.
The bears.
Sweet,
I like
sweet. What color dice should I use?
I mean, definitely.
Either electric blue or hot pink.
How about these blue? Is
That's
that
beautiful.
electric blue enough?
Beautiful.
Electric blue glue.
It's positively shocking.
Supposed to negatively shock you.
And I'll use these new ones that Jacob had gotten me. They kind of have some pink in them, but they're mostly purple. There's kind of like a galaxy,
Oh, that's cool.
sparkly. Very cool. Very pretty. They always looking handsome. No new announcements. I've been a little off the radar as I have been readjusting to a new work schedule and stuff. So, but I'm slowly getting things back up and running. Daniel, did you cut your hair?
Sure did.
Had to look audition ready.
Yeah, I am officially part of the UNM Symphonic Band, and we start rehearsing next week.
Ooh.
I have another audition coming up tomorrow for a youth choir accompanist position. So
Oh, that's very cool.
that's gonna fingers crossed that goes swimmingly.
Yeah, and you've been kind of like out of the like performing I don't know how to say it. You haven't performed in a while, right? Or like done any kind of like community band stuff? I know you're doing a little bit of theater things.
I mean, we can't really,
Yeah.
because of the world
The
at
thing.
large, but things are going in the direction that we would like to go in this state, so we are very thankful for that.
Good. Wish I could say the same.
Takes a drink of wine. Oh, goodness. Oh, me too. I terribly miss performing and playing in ensembles and stuff. That's Bradley, I don't know if you are on Twitter often enough to have seen it, but I think Charlie got a hold of the old Vanilla Envelope Twitter again.
Yes.
And said that if it gets, however many thousands of retweets, we would do a reunion concert.
420,000.
Yeah, and I laughed a little bit, but part of me was like, I mean, that'd be kind of fun.
No. I wouldn't leave school for it, but like,
It'd be pretty cool.
it'd be fun. I would do it.
Yes, what's up, Win? I need to send you that stuff. I apparently deleted that note from whenever Alan and I had talked about that. Friend Win is doing or starting a D&D club. And a while back, Alan and I had done a little interview thing for his internship, and I'd compiled all these resources of, like, DMing for, like, therapy purposes, DMing in schools, DMing kids with special needs, and all sorts of stuff like that. And I had this whole long thing of it, and I think I deleted it. So, need to go back and dig
that's like
all those back up. I was so frustrated. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. Womp womp. Yeah. Epic fail. Maybe look at the big brain on Rachel. I should ask Alan. Anyway, gotta play some D&D. So, yeah, no updates, whatever. We're just gonna play some D&D. Last time, you guys raided an old lady's bedchamber.
What a way to start out the recap.
You raided the toxic witch's room and flooded it with seawater.
You forgot to start with the fact that she put us there.
Here, I guess you could stay in my bedroom. Proceeds to take everything that isn't nailed down.
So they had a discussion with all the bog witches. They exchanged some information about what they've uncovered about the cult and Katu, or the Gloam, whatever things they've encountered, and proceeded to get a tour of their underwater fort, effectively, in the bog. After getting a brief tour, they also, besides, all the normal stuff that a little compound would have, there was also a dungeon where they were torturing, questioning, flaying cultists and deep ones and all sorts of stuff. But also, they had a gate, a tunnel, something, some sort of these rift-like entrances you guys have encountered before, that have eventually turned into sort of a water source. This one has yet to be turned into something like that. And the witches constantly stay on guard to keep it closed, fight off whatever might be coming out of it, to keep the cultists from taking over the Urwile Bog, because for some reason they really want it. You were invited to rest there. You were very apprehensive about it, so as a show of good faith, she was like, alright, you can stay in my room, where it's nice and quiet and private and safe. And you're all like, cool. And then you stole a bunch of stuff. And then we're eventually, she didn't want you to sleep there, just kind of use this like a little private space to sit and chat. And eventually you're taken down to the dungeon, where you were sleeping next to the moaning, dying cultist, and the growling and dying deep ones, and whoever else they have down there. And to help yourself sleep, Amina put all of those people in agony, put them to sleep, and then you guys had a restful night. Had a restful night's sleep, with the intention of the next day to delve into this rift that the witches have been maintaining. So, sleeping through the night, the next morning comes around. Underground in some cells, it's not the most, it's not the most Snow White Disney of awakenings. There's no sunlight streaming through the blinds. There's no fresh smell of anything. It's underground. It smells horrible. It smells like death. So you wake up a little stiff from sleeping on stone floor, but you slept. And I will pass it to you, whatever you want to do, need to do, or say before venturing into the underground.
Shoot. I asked last time, but is the potion of water breathing an hour?
Yes, an hour.
Okay, cool. I know it was different than the spell, but couldn't quite remember.
While we have this moment to just pause, what I would like to do is to take the bouquet of purple pictures that I have on my person and marinate one of my regular bolts into a hallucinogenic bolt, poison bolt, whatever you like to call it. But yeah.
Totally, yeah, you can do that.
Perfect.
And because you weren't super successful, because I recall you weren't super successful with the extraction, we'll say, because I think you can do up to 3 bolts. You can do 3 bolts, I believe.
Okay, and would that just be a regular poison bolt then?
Let me double check here.
Crossbow bolt of LSD.
I mean, basically.
Applies the condition tripping.
There's Amina's guide.
New life to the battle maneuver trip attack.
Oh. And with this hit, you see God.
Yes, so Daniel, because of the, I remember it was a not great roll for harvesting them. So you can only do one bolt and it will use up the bouquet.
Okay. Fine
But you
by
do
me.
get a poisoned bolt, poisoned with swamp milk. So yes, so instead of the normal poison bolt where it's a DC 10, D4 poison damage, the swamp milk poison bolt's a DC 15 con save, and they're poisoned for 8 hours or until they take damage.
Oh,
Hey. Okay.
Until they take damage. Huh.
interesting.
It is a psychedelic, like meant to just.
I have some ideas. Okay. Anyway.
You wake up, Amina immediately sticks herself with the crossbow bolt and just sits in.
Me too.
I'm not doing it today, guys. Sorry.
No
Okay.
bad feelings.
All right. Cool. Well, then that's the only thing I wanted to really take care of while we had a moment to pause.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Sludig's gonna do his morning routine. Other than that,
10,000
he's
pull-ups and 10,000 push-ups.
you gotta maintain the routine, man.
Body is a temple.
No cheat day.
I'm just gonna wake up. Fuck that. I'm not really super keen on the idea of hanging out down here. I don't think she's gonna be super happy that we took all her stuff and covered her bed in seawater and a lot of other parts of her water or parts of her room in seawater. We should go.
That sounds
Fair
like a pretty
enough.
good plan.
So.
Any volunteers?
So no last prep things before heading down.
Everyone full on HP.
As close as I can be.
How much do you need?
2.
I gave you my 2 good
2
berries.
out of like 100.
I have 109. I have 107 currently. I have 2 good berries. I was gonna keep them in case I needed to bring someone back.
That's a good plan.
I can feed you 1 good berry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. All right. Then we'll hold on to them because, yeah. All right. I'm good.
Let's fucking go.
Okay, so you head through the dungeon, down sort of what was once a actual carved sub-level, but has now sort of been completely devastated by the battles that have happened here, until eventually you come upon 2 witches who are standing there. They greet you, and you see now this rift that you've heard about. It's a bit underwhelming. It's very unassuming. Like the couple that you've seen, where it's just sort of this rocky crack, a hole in the stone face, in this sort of cavernous room. But you can see already, in between the cracks, all of the shadows between the rocks and in the dirt and just the cracks in the walls. It feels alive. It feels like it's something beyond it. It is a living thing. So immediately the room kind of gets cold, a bit unnerving. That sort of sixth sense, like you're being watched, starts to tingle. And it's interrupted by one of these witches saying, "So are you delving down for good? Are you coming? Do we need to keep an eye out? Be ready? Just wandering in to see what happens?"
Yeah.
I think we need
last
to.
one.
I think we need to see what we'll be fighting against if things in Driftchapel have gotten worse.
Okay. From what we recall, eventually the path we'll be walking on will split two ways. Um, the left path, it'll take you to a waterway. We think that's how they come to and from. The path to the right, from all we can see, it's a dead end. It might be a future path in the making, not sure, but kind of just stops. So, besides that, I guess good luck.
Much, much appreciated. Thank you.
And you all take your first steps. Change the music a little bit maybe, but I'm actually going to need from you guys. No, we'll wait. We'll save it for when it really, really matters. So, you start walking down the... Thanks for subscribing, Steven! Begin... Well, Steven! Exclamation point! You begin walking down that first rocky tunnel from the rift. And it's... immediately, that sixth sense at the back of your head starts to go crazy. You keep glancing over your shoulder, you see some skittering off to the side, you glance, nothing there. You hear a little bit of whispering over your shoulder, and you glance over, and it's just Sludig breathing out of his nose. Like, it's very normal things, but everything just seems to be heightened. All of your senses are working overtime. I assume, Sludig, you do
Once
some
we
drift
are
globe
in a
stuff.
place of darkness, I've got the drift globe out, and I speak
Yes.
its command word to cast the light cantrip.
Absolutely. So you all get a bit of light to augment some of your dark visions, and you start walking. As it was kind of mentioned before, they make it about a few hundred feet. And quite so, after maybe 300 to 400 feet, you reach a crossroads. Path to your left, you crane your ear a bit, you hear the sound of rushing water. But to your right, there are two more paths. Not just one.
Oh.
And glancing, casting a bit of drift globe light down each one, as far as you can tell, even with dark vision, both of them keep going.
You mean all three?
Yes. All
Yeah,
three,
okay.
they keep going, but she had said that there's a path on the right with a dead end, and you peer down, and there's two paths, and neither one seems to be a dead end at a first glance.
Maybe we want to investigate and see if we can tell which one of these paths might be the old one on the right side. And so I'm gonna kind of walk over there and see if one has been traveled more than the other.
Mhm. It would do us some good to investigate as much dry land as possible.
Yes.
Awesome. So, I guess Sludig, and if someone wants to help him, let me check. It might. I always want to get the skill right. Survival or investigation. I'll let you decide.
I will most definitely take survival. You're a kind person.
I will aid.
I will aid.
Thank you for the
And
help.
my axe.
Aha, nat 20 gives me a 27. Haha.
Solid.
So Sludig. Yeah, bitch. Sludig, you peer down, so ignoring the watery path. The dry path on the left, you shine your glyph drobe, jipper,
Ooh, stroking out over
Flatlight.
I've been playing The Sims too much, and it's just that's what's in my ear. um, Shining the glyph drobe down. I did it again.
there. Yeah, drift globe.
Glyph drobe. That's what it's called now. The glyph drobe.
I like that.
Yeah, shining the light down a bit, looking at which one is most well traveled. Peering down one, it seems to keep going, and it seems to be fairly smoothed out, as if someone or something has moved up and down it quite a bit. The one to the right, it's still rocky, it's still very rough. But your light doesn't go as far. It seems to stop kind of abruptly. And just sort of this sheen, this curtain of darkness. Maybe 30 feet down.
There seems to be something strange down one of these paths. The light from the globe, it doesn't cut through the darkness down there.
Interesting.
If necessary, I can use the globe to bring the light of the day down here, and it should get through this darkness, but I was hoping to save that for when we reached underwater.
Question. This is distorting our sense of how far that tunnel is, yeah?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's going to take one of our regular old crossbow bolts and just fire it.
Okay.
In that direction just to see how far it goes. And see if we can hear or something being hit.
First, the firing of the crossbow echoes throughout all of these tunnels. Of course, it's not a gunshot, so it's not deafening, but it definitely echoes around and bounces off all the walls. And when your crossbow hits that darkness, there is a hissing sound. The darkness retracts and reveals some kind of gloomy mouth that was the interior of, and it immediately begins slithering and launching down the tunnel.
Oh god, towards us or
Away from us, right? Or towards us?
Toward you.
Nice.
So if I get the three of you to roll initiative.
Woo! Coming in hot,
real quick.
Hey, balance. I got
That's
a
all-
3 total.
That's all
I got a
things
nat
should
1.
be.
Okay, I got an 8.
Well, I got a 12.
Oh boy, y'all.
If there's
Y'all
one
rolled
thing
real
we've
well,
been known
huh?
for, it's initiative.
I don't think I have feral instinct. I think that's
That's like a 7th level.
yeah,
feature, isn't it?
7th level for barbarian.
When is the danger sense? Is that 3rd level?
That's 2nd,
Oh wow. Okay. That's
I
awesome.
think. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so Kamin, what'd you have?
12.
Woo! Amina, what'd you have?
8.
Woo! Sludig, what'd you have?
3 for Dale.
3 for Dale.
Do it for Dale.
Awesome. You all are very lucky.
Did
Because,
he get below 3?
yeah.
Impressive.
Well, hold on. Let me actually double check. Okay.
It has
Nope.
feral instincts, so it gets it.
No. So it doesn't make it to you guys, but if I could get all three of you to make a sanity roll for me.
Oh, boy.
Shit. Ooh, sorry. Ooh. And it's anything but a 1 and 2, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Oh, I got
3
an
is good.
8.
I'm good.
You all prepare yourselves, gear up, but then as it gets closer, you realize it blows past you, and there was nothing there. And then when your drift globe light settles up again, there's a dead end.
Well, that was just rude. Fire off a
Okay.
couple of Eldritch Blasts into the wall because I'm mad at it.
I'm gonna pick up my bolt if it's still usable because that kind of peeves me too.
So you want to walk to the dead end and go pick up your crossbow bolt?
Yeah, it's ammo.
Yeah, it's ammo. Okay,
We're
you do
actually
so.
in the giant space worm from Empire Strikes Back. Yeah.
You go collect your bolt. It is a bit dented, but otherwise nothing else out of the ordinary.
Okay, cool. Beautiful.
Well, I guess we're heading to the water then.
It sounds like that would be the case.
Well, away we go.
Going toward the water.
I guess.
And like, how wide is this tunnel? Is this something we need to be single file for?
It's about 2 people wide.
Oh,
It expands and contracts in some places, but more or less 2 people wide. So you head over to the waterway. It constantly sort of descends down, and it's not a gradual descent. And same with even getting down here. It's sort of rocky drops into certain areas. Sometimes it's a little more sloped. Other times it's just a sheer drop, maybe 15 feet, and you have to kind of do a little rappelling and climbing down. But as you get farther and farther down this way toward the water, the rocks get more slimy. The darkness seems to crowd a little bit more. Some of the rocks seem a bit looser as they've been weathered over time. And it just starts to get a little bit more hazardous throughout as you start heading down and down. Were you about to say something, Bradley? Did I dream that?
no.
Okay.
You good?
And eventually, you come upon this little rocky outcropping as the tunnel opens up to a roaring river. Resounding, yelling, roaring through this tunnel. The ceiling is about 10-15 feet overhead. This underground river is maybe 15 feet wide. God knows how deep. Even with drift globe, it's still reflecting off. It just looks like essentially just blackness rolling through this tunnel, and it goes one way and the other way, just roaring on past.
Which direction is the water moving?
Kamin,
Oh.
make a survival check for me.
I thought it was a
Kamin
pretty
licks
basic
his-
question. but-
Licks his finger.
Fix it in the water.
It's going from right to left.
Is it actually? Who knows? Moving up.
Well, it's going from right to left. The actual direction it's flowing.
Yeah, right to left is what I was going.
Oh, there you go. It's right to left.
Yeah.
Kamin, you're so smart.
Oh, I'm a genius. Especially with that -2 wisdom. Woohoo. Right, so this is the part where we jump in and hope for the best, right?
I assume so.
I
Um,
see,
well, if we really want to see what sorts of things might be waiting for us at Driftchapel, I feel as though we have to jump in.
Question. How are the walls here? Like you said, there's a 15-foot like ceiling here. Like, is it just sheer like rock, or are there places to grab onto? Like,
I know it's not helpful to say both. You notice that there's about a split halfway up. So I need a. There we go. So if you can imagine the water line, about 5 or so feet up, it's fairly sheer and smooth, and then above that, it's a little bit more rocky. And Amina's smart. You imagine that's probably where the water level used to be, and it's worn away at the sides, and then it's dropped down since then. So it's partially sheer, and then rocky all the way up. But also, being smart as well, and Sludic being wise, you probably noticed this too, that also kind of means that if you get into the water, it's kind of hard to get out because there's not much to grab onto at the waterline or just above. It's all kind of, at this point, out of arm's reach.
I want to look around and see if I can find any like decent sized stones that I could tie some rope around to like send at least a rope down into the water, with a rock on one end tied to a rock up here, preferably a very big rock, as Sludic's probably heavy.
Yes. A shopkeeper on a boat offers to sell you rocks. No.
For 10 mithril ingots.
10 mithril bars. You can.
It is a random rock box.
Dude, I got a legendary
Fish
rock.
rocks again.
oh my god. Okay. So Logan, I have a question. Would
Either.
Amina be able to spot, say, I don't know, a particular rock formation in the ceiling that looks sturdy enough and happens to have, I don't know, a grappling hook sized hole in it?
Not yet, but it's about to.
That's probably more of the lines. You could definitely make one. Well, go and roll an investigation check for me while Sludig is doing his rock experiment.
Oh boy, investigation check is going to be 17.
So you can definitely, whether it's sturdy enough might be a little bit different of a story. But there's definitely some stalactites that are sort of in different clusters that if you were able to kind of aim and pull and apply enough pressure, you could probably get it lodged up into some of those and get it stuck into place. Whether they're sturdy enough might be a different thing, just because being this far away makes it a little bit more difficult.
Right.
And Sludig, testing the water depth, right?
Oh, I mean, that will work, but mainly it was so we would have a rope to climb back up.
Oh, I see. I thought you
While he
meant
does
like
that, I'll test for the water
way
depth.
down a rock to see.
I mean,
how...
no, that's smart too. But that had gone over Sludig's head. He was like, I just want to be able to get out of the water.
Oh man, I don't feel like doing it, but I imagine a flashback where like Sludig is tying this, and you can like hear his wife's voice. That's like, "Oh, you're gonna test the water depth," and you're like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Thanks."
Should have thought of that.
Oh man, I to prepare for this session because it's been so long since we played, I like went back and like quickly skipped through our last session to be like, what happened? And I had found the part where you found the little wind-up bird in the witch's stuff, and then kind of pieced together that, oh, she might have been from the Birdsong State, and she was wearing a ring, like a signet ring with an M on it. And then Drew was like, the only ring I was focused on was the one my wife was wearing. We were all like, oh. Oh, God.
And on that day, Sludic's heart shrank 3 sizes.
Sure, and he took a level in Barbarian. Uh, so, finding a heavy rock. We will say sort of similarly to finding a way to notch grappling hook. There's also some stalagmites nearby that you can kind of wedge a heavy rock behind and kind of get a rope tied off and everything to be a nice pull. Similarly, testing river depth. The river's moving fairly fast and immediately sort of starts sweeping away, pulling the rope. So by the time you get it pulled back up and trying to check like how deep it is, anywhere, we'll say this. The rope is wet up to about the 35-foot mark. That's also it getting pulled away, it getting moved around, and all sorts of stuff.
I mean, if it's getting pulled around like that, it's probably not even hitting the bottom, so it's probably deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll leave it back in so that we have hopefully something to aid in our climb back out of the water if we do go in. Grappling.
Don't see where else we're going.
I'm... Okay. How far away would be from us? How far away would be the nearest stalactite rock formation on the ceiling that, from our point of view, we could potentially get a rope on it?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We'll say 30 feet.
Okay. Amina's gonna use Misty Step to get onto one of the stalagmites. Because it's 30 feet, baby.
Don't
And just
fall.
grab, hold, hug it.
Well, what I want to do is cast Misty Step, get myself there, grab onto it, and immediately use my crossbow, use Seraphim to launch a grappling hook with rope to go around a formation that's where Salute and Kamin are.
Okay, so just kind of do like a little, make almost like a zip line kind of thing.
Basically.
Okay. Interesting, Daniel.
So she is 30 feet away from us over the water.
Yep. All right,
Okay.
so Daniel.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to. Okay. Okay. Here's how we're gonna do this. And I'm very sorry for this because I know you're a rogue. I'm going to need you to make an athletics check, which is a strength skill.
Oh boy.
If you get a 10 to 15, you grab and you can take your shot at disadvantage. If you get a 15 or higher, you grab on, you can take your shot, all's hunky-dory, but at less than a 10, you... Oh, yes, Bradley.
Can I spin the pocket watch when I see her do this?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
I got a 12.
Okay.
That's what I rolled.
Oh, okay. Then, was that for, like, portent, or was that for...
Yes, it's portent, so it's for an hour. I've got
Okay.
a 12 if I need
There
it.
you go. So with the 12, you grab on, but you're using so much strength and core strength to hold on tight that you're trying to aim and do all this at once. So go ahead and make make an attack with your crossbow at disadvantage.
Attack, okay. That's just my attack, my D6, yeah?
D20
D20?
plus your attack bonus,
Oh, okay.
You got to roll to shoot it.
and then 2d20s take the lower result.
Okay. Oh. All right, so 13 and my attack. So I rolled 13 is the lowest, and my attack bonus that would make it at 21. Am I doing that
Yeah,
right?
you're fine.
Okay.
I imagine Kamin and Slutig are both like watching this happen, but then expertly marked grappling hook and crossbow bolt and rope whoosh, fly through, get lodged into the rocky ground and stalagmites at your feet, shoom, get locked into place, and then Amina badass zip lines down and lands next to you guys.
Hi. That was awesome, but give us a warning next time.
I saw you start doing that, and I thought we were going to have to fish you out of the water. But props to you, that was incredible.
If we had to fish you out of the water, what would you want as the bait?
A sweet glass of wine. I would murder many thousands of fishmen if I could just have sweet wine again. But alas, we are fortunate that is not the case. And now we have something as a means to not be in the water as much as we would need to be otherwise.
I will reach into my backpack and pull out the bottle of wine that Evelyn and I, who is that her name? Eveline
Mm-hmm.
and I shared, and just kind of hand it to Amina. I don't know how sweet it is, but it's wine.
Ugh. Glug, glug, glug. Ugh. Divine. Shoves it back into his chest and says, "Thank you, my dear. That was invigorating."
So I was watching that.
All right, y'all. Okay.
Well, there's a rope that leads to a stalactite that is 30 feet above the water below.
Mm-hmm. So now you essentially just have a 50-foot, like, I guess lifeline almost of just like rope hanging from the ceiling that you can sort of use to navigate and float around. In case you just wanted to swim and test the water and do anything like that.
I have a question.
Might be smart to see how fast the water will be pulling us.
A question for Logan.
Yes, sir.
Does the levitate spell work over water? I don't think it does.
Okay,
but I wanted
see,
to ask.
the levitate spell is very weird, and
It is.
it's such a strangely worded spell.
Yes, it is.
What my interpretation of it is, and it's probably what we'll go with, it's essentially zero gravity. So, like, floating in a space station, where the only way you can really move is either from the person commanding and being like, move, or using stuff to move you. Otherwise, you just kind of float in the same spot.
So could I start floating and then have something propel me over the water and remain floating over the water?
Sure. You can even use like Amina's rope and just kind of pull you over.
I will make towards, like, I'm about to step off into the water. But I'll just step and start floating a little bit as I cast levitate on myself. I'll pop in Malachi and just have him kind of push me along.
Boom.
Bum.
Yeah.
He just mouth breathes on you, and it gives you a little floating.
I did it.
Yep. So now Kamin is floating very gently over the top of the water.
I don't know how you guys are gonna do this, but good luck.
Well,
Well, I guess I start climbing down. Oh. Are we ready to go down into the water? Because if so, I pull out my potion.
I guess it's now or never, and Amina will take her potion of water breathing, will clink.
And then Sludig, without handy dandy levitation magic, is gonna jump into the water.
Okay. Are you going to use Amina's rope as sort of a safety
I thought
line?
Kamin was holding onto the rope. Oh no?
No, just
Sure,
just
I'll
Malachi.
swing out into the rope, have the last little bit of fun before I have to deal with whatever's down there.
Oh, it's at like a summer camp swinging into the lake.
Come to the
This
Bog
is
Witches
about to
summer camp. Well, it's like an
Amina-
actual summer camp. The lake water is way too fucking cold.
True. Amina, I assume you do the same.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep eyes on them from up above and just kind of Scooty Puff Jr. around over
Hang
them.
on. Actually, sorry. I meant to say before Amina herself jumps in, she's gonna cast Mage Hand on her crossbow
Hold it above the water.
and keep it above the water. Because I imagine it's not going to work really well when it's sopping wet. So,
Actually, I believe crossbows are one of those few weapons that operate normally underwater.
seriously?
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
the
like-
arrow physics are gonna be pretty bad, but like
Crossbows are good.
Crossbows have metal strings often, compared to
Well,
like horsehair bowstrings.
And the range is going to be nerfed. So I think it's just halved. I'd have to look up the underwater rules specifically. But most, like every other weapon attack other than spears, tridents, and crossbows is made at disadvantage underwater.
When making a melee attack, you have disadvantage on it unless it is a dagger, javelin, short sword, spear, So basically, if you're using a piercing melee weapon, you're fine. Ranged weapon attacks automatically miss a target beyond the weapon's normal range.
Okay.
Even against a target with a normal range attack roll is disadvantage unless the weapon is a crossbow, net, or a thrown weapon, like a javelin, spear, trident, or dart. I kind of have beef with a thrown weapon, because can you imagine trying to throw something underwater?
It's like throwing a spear underwater, as I guess what they're motioning about,
Right,
but still
Yes. It'd be so hard
would
to
not
do.
be fun.
It'd be so
Throwing
hard.
darts underwater.
Like, hey, but good news. If you're fully immersed, you have resistance to fire damage.
Boy, howdy. Okay.
Has there been any fire damage this entire campaign?
There was that one
me,
time
that
they
one
threw
time-
a lantern at him.
Oh yeah.
That and the time I kicked the dude into the fire, but I think I
Yes.
kicked him with or killed him with the kick.
So you burned his corpse.
Oh, jeez. I love it. So, two of you jump in, Kamin, you're levitating on top, and you're just going to kind of follow the current, or are you going to try and hold on to get a feel for it first? For those of you, two of you swimming.
Well, I definitely want to not get too far away from Kamin. So I'm
I'll be
gonna
fine.
try and not get swept away by the current.
And I'll do the same.
So, the current is fairly quick, relatively fast. A bit of testing, floating along, trying to keep up. Kamin, you actually find that you're able to keep up pace. And so, floating in water, the two of you who are swimming 20 feet per round. So of course, you could swim with the current, move a bit faster, but swimming against it will be very difficult. But more or less, the two of you are able to float along. Kamin, you're also floating along, just dry. Dodging out of the way of hanging stalactites.
Yes.
And I'm going to go take a toilet cat break while we've got this good opportunity.
Smart.
Does anyone else need to?
Yeah. Give me a chance to refill.
All right, then we'll take a quick few minutes and toilet cat refill, etc. Give Daniel a chance to chug his wine and then refill it again.
Heck yeah.
And then we'll come back to see where they'll end up. Woo! Drew's got his stein of water ready.
Mm-hmm.
Bang. Alrighty. So, it's weird because effectively you guys are kind of at the whim of whatever I do. Because you're just kind of floating along with your potions of water breathing. I'm gonna put on some combat music to make it really intense. How about that?
Oh boy.
What?
What? Nothing? Hello?
Hi.
I think it's just being quiet. Hello?
Oh.
Hello. That was for you, Meatmore.
Hello? So stupid. But it's effective, because, like, it communicates a lot of, like...
You can pack so much emotion into
Yeah,
that.
hello? That's like a, hey, is anyone there? Can people hear me? What's going on? Like, all just in a hello. See, there's the emote. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Any hoozle. So, Sludig, Amina, you're floating along. And immediately, Amina, you are very graceful, so you make it look as graceful as possible. But swimming is exhausting. And it takes a lot of physical strength to swim. So Sludig, you're probably doing it, looking like a freaking Olympian.
Butterfly the entire time.
Treading water like nobody's business, where I feel like as Amina is probably doing a little bit of like every few minutes. And then Kamin's just, sitting in an invisible rocking chair, flask in
Sitting
hand.
on Malachi.
Yeah. Just floating along. And immediately, the waterway, Sludig. I'm sorry to do this. Do you have your drift globe out? Are you like holding it?
Yeah, but
while you're
I can breathe underwater, so I'm not really worried about drowning. I'm just kind of going with the flow of the water, staying up, and...
So, here's what I'll say. You're a monk. I'm not terribly worried. And you're a big guy. You're essentially, I imagine, like, palming a basketball or sort of like football carrying it under your arm. So if you'll do me a favor, I don't expect you to fail it, but just in case, make either an acrobatics or athletics check. We'll say athletics. An athletics check. DC 15, just to maintain grip and hold on. Because, like, water's going to make that crystal ball slick.
I can technically fail this. I got a 26.
So does that fail?
No. I get a plus 13 for athletics now, so...
You didn't put 13 for the I imagine you have such control over this drift globe that Kamin, you're up there reading, the latest Homes and Garden as you're floating
The whole
along.
of the sea.
The whole of the sea.
making
You're
it
filling
work.
the river, like the water levels are rising. Fludig, you realize, like, oh no, I'm starting to, like, lose my grip. And you just throw it up in the air and then catch it and then, like, regain. Like, you're doing all sorts of crazy. Like, let me just bounce it off the wall.
I find a rock so I can practice my juggling.
Yeah, while you're floating along. And Amina's half drowning in the. But, with your light out, you're able to see, coming up, the river splits. Tunnel to the left, tunnel to the right. And it isn't, even with dark vision, that's still 60 feet, and whenever you're in some rapids, it's kind of hard to make adjustments like that. But as you get closer and it's within visible range, you can see what seems like torchlight on this new branching path. Kamin, it's easy enough for you to just be like, oh, okay. But for you swimmers there, it'll take a little bit of effort to go that way if you decide to, or you can keep going down the darkened path.
I feel as though what we're here to find is on the lit path.
Right.
So, for a chance for us to come in without just immediately going into combat, I'm gonna say the command word and dispel the light cantrip. I know where I need to get to.
And even in the darkness, you can still see the
torchlight.
It's just what's
The
between
rest
you and
of
that.
it?
Yeah, the distance between. Who knows? So there's not really a method. Kamin, you watch Sludig dim the light. I assume you, Sludig and Amina, you communicate as a group, an entity. It is loud, however, with enough analyzing of movements, body language, trying to understand what people are saying, enough cues can happen at once that you're like, okay, they're moving there. Now it's just a matter of them getting there. So Amina and Sludig, I'll need athletics checks from the both of you. Kamin, is there anything you want to try and do to help them if you got anything?
I'm gonna prep a rope, like I'm gonna pull out my rope and prep to drop it for them if I need to, but I've also still got a tentacle on that stop, on their pocket watch.
Okay.
I've still got, assuming it hasn't been an hour yet, so I've still got that 12.
Yeah, no, it's
and if
maybe
I need another
been
roll.
15 or so minutes. Not long.
Cool.
I got a 21.
I got a 2.
No, she didn't. She got a 12. Plus or minus something.
Okay, Bradley, let me
Oh.
Did you do anything special casting levitate?
It's a warlock evocation.
So it's like unlimited?
Yes.
Okay. Rope in one hand, tentacle on the pocket watch with the other. As you pull up the pocket watch and go to activate it, you look. It's been about 10 minutes, and you're like, oh no. And you and Malachi begin to like start to sink down, and you can quickly recast levitate. That's what I meant by very Looney Tunes, like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I imagine the butt of Malachi just bonks Sludig on the head as it bounces back up. Like...
I finally get dunked underwater.
And then, then it turns into a game of chicken. Sludig takes Amina on his shoulders, Malachi and Kamin on his shoulders. Then you try to fight and throw each other off. But Amina, you got a 12 plus your athletics, which is a total of what?
12.
Better than 11.
And Sludig, what was your total?
21.
Better than 11. So Sludig, you get yourself turned, get far enough to head over to that right channel, but Amina, you don't get quite there. You instead grab onto a stalagmite right there at the split and hold on for dear life as the rapids continue rushing down. So Amina and Kamin, you both have essentially one more thing you can try to do to get Amina to the other side of this split.
I will float down to Amina. Allow me to double check. Is the ring of swimming an attunement item? It isn't marked as one on my character sheet, but I don't know.
It's not.
Cool.
I'm terribly
then
surprised.
I'm going to float down and pluck that ring off of my finger and just, slide it onto one of hers. So now she has a swimming speed of 30 feet, or equal to her movement speed.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so now Amina, you're part spider, part fish. You get some like webbed fingers and armpits and toes.
Webbed armpits. It's disgusting.
Yeah, webbed knee pits, webbed butt cheeks, webbed thigh gap, webbed butt crack.
You're just a circle of flesh now.
What if that was like somebody's like description of like mermaids? It's like, yeah, everything is webbed. Everything is webbed.
Webbed mouth.
Moisturize me, Captain.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing. A sheet of skin.
Terrible.
Oof, big oof.
Well, this really
but-
hit the fan. We'll stop the. No, I'm just kidding. We have hit an all-time low.
Thank you for that ring, my dear. I am. Oh, yeah. She's gonna swim towards that part that we're trying to get
Yep,
to.
it's a little slow fighting the current, but Sludig, you now watch as Amita very deftly rounds the corner and begins swimming alongside you.
She could have drowned for all I know.
That's fair. Sludig, you get to that second channel, you turn around, they're both gone. It's completely dark except for that one torchlight.
They'll catch up.
You know what? No. Sludig, make a sanity roll.
Okay.
Oh,
Because you have officially been
6.
split up from your party.
Yeah.
6.
all my friends are dead.
Yep. All your friends are dead. And then
They're
finally...
just like my wife. Everyone's dying around me. I'm alone. No, thankfully I passed this sanity check,
Yep.
and that thought never crossed my mind.
Yep, never crossed your mind, huh? So, Sludig, keep floating. Amina's a ways behind you. Sludig, you're strong and fast enough. Your speed is fast enough that you can kind of tread water for a bit and wait for them to catch up. And eventually, they catch up. You keep floating, and maybe a minute later, you come upon the source of that torchlight. It is nothing living that you can tell, but it is a humanoid shape. A silhouette is being created by this sort of burning orange light. The silhouette shape seems to be a feminine figure, maybe in a dress or a robe, a cloak, something baggy and loose, with one hand or one arm kind of off to the side, kind of a crook like this, and then the other one up to their face like this. Almost like they're whispering. And the torchlight seems to be coming from that hand that's near the stomach. And floating a bit closer, I imagine moving a bit slower as well, so you're not just swept away by the current. Excuse me. As you round the corner and start getting closer, you see that there's 2 of them, one on either side. And as you sort of get some spatial awareness, they're on either side of this river, on these little stony outcroppings. The one on the right, though, the wall seems to go behind it and away, so there's ground up where it is, a few feet above the water line. There's sort of these two sentinel statues with torchlight on either side of the river.
And looking around, there's no other creatures, anything else that could be making any light.
None that you see, no.
Um, I guess I will swim over towards the edge and look for kind of a path out of the water.
Okay. On the right side, where there's sort of
Yes.
more space. Okay. Anything else from the other two?
Just float over to where the torchlight is.
Same.
Awesome. So you float over there. Eventually, the two swimming folks can find handholds to pull themselves up. And you see that it's sort of like the area where you stepped off from. There's a sort of outcropping, the tunnel branches out. There's all these stone columns where stalactites and stalagmites have met. And from where you are, it almost creates this cage-like illusion with these columns separating you from the space beyond. The torchlight creating all these what feel like living shadows flickering and moving back and forth. And everything's silent except for the rushing river behind you, and standing with this whispering woman of a statue. And from what you can see, the one beyond, it's the same exact statue, same exact position. And the torchlight, as you get closer, seems magical. It's just an orb of fire floating there and rippling up.
Any sort of writing? Sorry. Any sort of writing or anything on the statue that might give any story about it?
Definitely so. You see that it stands on a base that's maybe a foot tall, very thick stone base, and all along the exterior of the stone there is writing. And from what you can tell, reading it, actually, I'll let Sludig decide. Sludig, you probably could decipher it, but it's the equivalent of reading, like, kind of Old English. It's old scripture, old language that it's legible. You probably could read it, but it uses just weird flourishes and strange turns of phrase that you might not be quite familiar with.
Let me check my 13. But no, I'll involve the rest of the party in it to see if they can get more information out of it.
Out of the King James version of the statue.
So this is still a form of common, more or less, yeah?
More or less. There seems to be some, not necessarily filigree, but almost like ornaments at the ends of certain lines or phrases. What languages do you know, Daniel? Amina?
I know common, celestial, deep speech, and thieves' cant. And I can cast comprehend languages.
With celestial, at the ends of some of the lines, it's more or less just sort of turns of phrase. The equivalent of, just saying amen, but written in celestial. Sort of to notate certain exclamations or prayers. But Amina, with enough time of looking at the base of this statue, it tells a story, a brief story, a bare-bones story, in effectively 4 parts, one for each side of the base. And more or less, it is a story of 2 gods. One of light and healing and all things holy, and one of secrets, hidden power, hidden knowledge. Second part describes effectively, for what you guys are familiar with, sort of this industrial magical revolution. The development of all these new technologies and things. The third part describes this god of light and goodness abandoning these people. And then the fourth part describes this god of secrets and darkness taking the place of this god who abandoned them in like a motherly figure. The gods they're talking about are Katu and Aliana. But what you guys have heard, being normal citizens of this world, is that that's not quite what you've really heard as much. You've sort of heard that, Katu is this, evil god that somehow overthrew or killed Aliana, created horrible things, created the Gloam, and then they developed technology to fight the Gloam. So there's this sort of displacement of timelines of belief and teachings, it seems.
Katu propaganda. In moments while they're like examining, reading out the statues, are these like life-sized statues, or are they bigger?
Yeah,
smaller?
life-size statues. The woman seeming, well, the woman by herself is maybe 5'6", 5'7", but the statue maybe stands about 6 feet tall.
Okay. I want
Maybe
to just kind of put my ear up to where she's whispering, just to see if I hear something.
Oh, damn. Man, it's going to be something good whenever you can't decide whether the check needs to be at advantage or disadvantage.
Oh God!
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
Katu, what did I do?
Kamin,
That's me.
make a wisdom saving throw. Just a regular wisdom saving throw.
Oh, okay. 13.
13. The statue starts whispering to you. The words she's saying are completely unintelligible. And it almost just sounds like gibberish. But as she's whispering into your ear, there's something sweet about it, even though you don't understand exactly what she's saying. And then you hear her say, "The witches poisoned you. It was in your water, it was in the wine, it was in your food. You're poisoned." And Sludig and Amina, you watch as Kamin turns and throws up violently into the river for a full 30 seconds or so until it eventually reaches the point of just dry heaving. And by that point, Kamin, the whispering's gone. And everything goes back to quiet.
Are you okay? What happened?
So I'm conscious of what just happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the witches. It's the witches. They poisoned us. They put something in the food we ate, the water we drank.
Well, if they poisoned all of us, why is it just you feeling these effects? I know I'm pretty strong of body, but I feel as though these witches are crafty enough that whatever poison they would use on us would be quite catastrophic.
And I'm sure if there was poison, by now we would have felt something. It's been a full day since we've eaten anything from them, hasn't it?
It's been a night, but poisons work in all kinds of different ways. There's some that incubate in the body for weeks at a time.
Think about what you're saying, Kamin. You're over here trusting the words of a statue.
And you're over there trusting the words of a coven of bog witches.
Oh, it would not shock me if they poisoned us, but what I'm saying is neither Amina nor I are feeling any of these effects. And I feel as though if they were to have poisoned us, we probably would have felt something by now.
Not yet.
Do you think you can keep going, or?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Good. Then let's proceed.
Amina, as you turn around, you look, and the text that is at the base of the statue has changed. It seems all in the same kind of old script, old everything, but all of the actual written words have changed entirely, even though it, from a distance, might look the same.
What does it say now?
Well, as you start to kind of retranslate it, you start to think like, has it really been that long since I've read Celestial? Am I out of practice? Did I mistranslate it the first time? Is it actually different? And if I could get you to roll your sanity die for me.
Okay. If you insist. It's a 3.
So you're fine. You're like, nope, I've still got it. I've been practicing. I know. Which makes this change story a little bit worse. What was once a story of 2 gods now is a story of 1 god. God of goodness and light. And then came a darkness that didn't cause a god to abandon the world or their followers. Instead, this darkness almost stole this god and turned them into a god of horrible secrets and nightmares. The people, the followers, resorted to weaponry, believing their god abandoned them and started fighting this new darkness that has arisen, even though it is their god, unknown to them. And Amina, this time, as you're reading it, you can also hear a little bit of the statue whispering.
As much as I'm tempted to listen to it, I'm going to pull away before I perceive anything that might sway my senses. I'm going to read the new story, and that will be all.
Okay.
And Logan, you said that there was an area almost caged off by stalagmites and tights that have met.
Yes. Have you re-pulled out your drift globe, or are you still kind of keeping
Uh,
in the dark?
Well, I thought there were people over here. So, since that's not the case, I will pull out my drift globe and use its command word to cast the light spell.
You see that in the darkness beyond the stalactite and stalagmite columns, the shadows and darkness that are being created by the torchlight starts to fade away and retreat at your drift globe. But quite literally, you see movement, shadows moving out of the way of your drift globe light, and disappear in some of the other shadows cast by the columns.
So, how thick are these stalagmite pillars?
Anywhere between
Oh.
5 to 10 feet
Tall or wide?
wide.
Oh,
That's a lot of C's.
that is a lot of C's. There's no breaking through that stalagmite. Is there any way that someone could get back there?
Yeah, there's enough space between each one that you can kind of shimmy through.
Well, seeing this, did anybody else see those shadows moving out of the way of the light?
Did we see the shadows?
What shadows?
It was
The
just
shadows
me.
typically move away from light.
I'm telling you, I saw something moving back there. I'm not one to get skittish over these things. I'll go look.
I'll follow. I'll go with it.
I'll follow. I feel like it's in a horror movie, like, you know, the person's hiding in the closet as the serial killer traipses around the house. Everything falls silent, and then they start to open the door, and everyone's like, "No, don't check!" I feel like that's this moment.
Stab.
Yeah.
Sludig is determined to prove himself, though.
Sludig came in, taking a few steps forward. And now both of you can see a bit of movement. Particularly the shadow of the columns. You see something move from one shadow to the other, zip across the beam of light created by the drift globe.
What are we supposed to do with a creature like that? This place is dark all around.
Seems to be nothing we can do about it. It hasn't done anything to us.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be getting closer to us, right? It doesn't like the light.
I don't think it
Not that you
can.
can tell.
You could always put out the light and see what happens, but I don't like that idea.
And
Halfway through the command word, as you say, you don't like that idea. Oh, misunderstood. Sorry.
And looking down a ways, it looks like this area of ground continues. It keeps going along the riverside. But the way that this sort of stalactite wall has almost been formed, the only way to reach that area is either by getting back in the water and floating down and going back up, or by going through that shadowy area behind the stalagmites.
I mean, if I have to deal with anything, I'd prefer dealing with it on my own 2 feet versus in the water. and like it's just as likely that something terrible is in the water.
Very true.
I could float across and be perfectly safe.
You and your
But
levitate.
I'll go with the team.
So you're going through the
The
dark.
shadowy, horrible dark hallway.
Yeah.
I'm an adventurer. I have a torch. I will light the torch. As much light as we can get.
Hmm. And truly, we will assume that the two of you who just dunked down into water for several minutes, torches are probably soaked through enough to where they won't be usable for many hours at this point.
Mhm.
But you have Drift Globe, and Kamin has presumably 10 torches.
If I am like I have lantern oil, since that's sealed, could we also use my bullseye lantern? Or is the wick too wet?
Pass out more dry torches.
I imagine that'd be fine. That could work.
Might as well. It's got a 60-foot cone in front.
Just as much light
Light
as
as
possible.
Yes.
Okay. So you step into the shadows. That sort of sixth sense of you're being watched comes online, and you can feel movement around you. You quickly pass through each shadow until eventually you make it to a space not entirely shrouded by shadow. And immediately you can hear a bit of like whispering behind you, a bit of shifting. And following this path a little further, there's another little stalagmite column, but it's not anywhere like a wall like you just passed through. There's a little ledge kind of up to the right, but shining a light. There seems to be nothing of note going through there. But ahead of you, you see another statue. Similar whispering, stomach holding the ember. And actually, who has the bullseye lantern?
Tentative hand raise.
Sludig. You are certain. You see the base of stairs at the very end of your lantern light.
I think we finally found something here. I think I see stairs over there. Is there any alternate path towards the direction we're going? Or is it just kind of a straight walk there?
Yeah, so the only so where you're standing, you have river to the left, paths toward the stairs, or you can go up to the sort of raised area and maneuver around and see where that goes. But it looks like it just drops off near the stairs.
Well, we're creating so much light. Anybody around here has already seen us, so.
Right.
How long has it been since we've entered?
With all the reading and doing all that stuff, maybe an hour.
Oh, potion of water breathing's gone.
That's a good one.
Well, since you got into the water, maybe 30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, doke.
So you
Well,
still got a little bit of time.
I guess we found kind of what we're looking for. Do we follow the stairs?
Seems a safer option than following that damn river.
That
Yes,
remains to be seen.
I'll start heading over there. Still bullseye lantern pointed that way.
Okay.
Drift globe
Just going
in the
on
other hand.
the path ahead, not the waterway or the raised area.
I'm on the path.
off the path.
So eventually you make it over, about 30 feet, not far at all, to the next statue. Similar structure, hand, flame, woman in a dress. This time, Amina. The story at the base is again different. This time, it is not about one god. This time it's about two gods again. Except this time it tells almost like a Romeo and Juliet story of two gods, one light and one dark, always at odds with one another, but in sort of this like eternal relationship with one another until eventually, as the story says, agreed that the world was better off without their influence, arbitrating what is right and wrong or what people do. And they both disappeared and abandoned, leaving room for this darkness to step in and take control. However, it seems to be that this was a plot of the much smarter, much more clever Katu to take control, to end this war and this bothersome right and wrong, and make a clear path for everyone. And at this point, Sludig and Kamin, by the time you reach the statue and Amina reads this, you look down and watch the waterway. It's maybe 100 or so, 150 feet, maybe even 200 feet down this waterway. You see another faint bit of torchlight farther down the waterway. But just ahead of you, only a couple dozen feet, you see some stairs leading up to what seems to be a stone door and a chiseled out face, almost, of not like a face, but a like the facade of a wall almost, and a door chiseled into it.
Does the door look like it's had any use recently?
Do you want to get close enough to find out?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
I do. I regret that.
As you get closer, looking around at some of the door's features, hinges rusted on it. The handle is just a divot carved into the stone, but the stairs seemed well worn. There's kind of stones piled up and smoothed down. And Sludig, make a perception check for me.
Ooh, a 6 on the die is not gonna bring me much good. 13.
13's not bad. While you don't see any, or whether or not the door has been used frequently or recently, you can faintly hear some voices beyond the door. Can't make out what they're saying. It's sort of the bassy side of a voice, but that's it.
I turn to Amina and Kamin and put my finger up to my mouth, and I diminish my bullseye lantern. Don't need all sorts of light. There's someone on the other side of this door. I don't know how many, but I hear a faint voice.
I'll go first. And We'll pull a bird song. I'll sing my tune as long as I need to. You guys come in and kick people into fireplaces if you need to.
Sludig is visibly excited.
I will extinguish my torch.
I'll put the drift globe out as well.
And make my way up to the door. Is there a knob or a
Yeah, there's a
hand?
little like carved handle they can pull and go in.
I pull the door.
Okay. There's a bit of faint, warm, orangish light from the other side as you open the door. And walking through, it's just kind of an open stone room. It's been carved out, kind of flattened at the sides and at the floor. It's been purposefully carved here. But while the room is empty, you do see all sorts of muddy footprints, bloody footprints on the floor. The floor is slick with water. It almost just feels like a mud room, like just walking in and people kick off their shoes and stuff. There's nothing of true note in here, but another similar stone door on one of the neighboring walls. And now that you're standing in here, Kamin, you can definitely hear voices coming from the other side of the door.
Can I make out what they're saying at all?
Probably a sound that Kamin is very used to. People gambling and playing a game.
Interesting. And it's through a door. So, okay. I will come back to the first door and motion for my companions to enter into the mud room. Just still quietly.
So Sludig, Amina, as you're creeping your way over there, Sludig, you hear the statue whisper. Not just vague whispers. Sludig, you hear the statue whisper to you. Saying, wait, don't go, Sludig, I have to... The witches are lying. They're lying. They're lying about Ilya.
And now my fingers go back down. So I stop and wait for the statue to continue.
Please. I can't say it here, but they might hear. Just, please, I need to whisper it to you.
I want to try and slip away.
From your party?
Yeah, over towards the statue.
Okay, do I notice him do this?
This is where... Alright, so Sludig, go and make a stealth check. Amina, what is your passive perception?
Passive perception is an 18.
It's okay, I still got it. Got a nat 20. Got a 26.
So a few moments pass. So effectively, Sludig, you have just a few seconds before they'll notice.
I listen.
And you listen. And Amina came in, a moment passes, and you realize Sludic's not with you. And you turn around, and you see Sludig kneeling down next to the statue with his ear up to the woman's hand.
Now it's his turn to lose his lunch.
Or something else, like my sanity, we'll see.
Drew, go and roll a d20 for me. Actually, yeah, roll a d20 for me.
6. You needed a 600 to pass. You got
You got
6.
6.
Oh man. This statue tells you, Sludig, of a very horrible outcome. That no matter what you were doing, Ilya is lost. There's no saving her. There's no good outcome. She is already lost and will forever be lost. And essentially tells you this very bleak story of your future to the point where it sits heavy on you. And it's very funny that this is what you rolled, Drew. Sludig, you are poisoned. You're terribly nauseous due to stress and anxiety after the statue finishes.
The witches poisoned you, motherfucker.
Oh God.
I was right, but I wasn't, but I am.
So, walking back, now sick.
Sludig looks
Kamin,
very pale.
I think you may have been right about that thing you said about the witches and the poison. I'm starting not to feel so well.
Oh, really? Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. You're next. I look at Amina.
Amina is just a little confused. She starts feeling like around like her stomach and all that. Be like, what? No, this can't be right. Something's up. Something's up with those statues.
Starts feeling psychosomatic nausea.
You could always go ahead and vomit everything out. I feel fine now that I'm expelled of most things.
God, let's see what this poison do to me.
Disadvantage.
Advantage on a lot of things.
Attack rolls and ability checks.
I think so.
Okay. But the three of you sickly make your way into this little weird stone mud room.
So, as I'm sure you can hear now, sounds like a group of people on the other side of this door, just partaking in a bit of recreation. Go with plan A. I go in, smooth talk, and see what happens. We can all go in and see what happens. We can all go in and start shooting.
We have the advantage of stealth only until we don't. That's what I'll say.
I mean, if you feel as though you can swindle whoever's on the other side of that door and buy us a chance to gain some sort of advantage, then I say go for it.
I do feel a good swindle coming on.
Let's see, how do I quote something? I do feel a good swindle.
I will make my way over to the door, but first I will reach my hand in my pocket and give that pocket watch another spin. That is a 18.
Okay.
Could come in quite handy. I will open the door and just walk in with confidence like I belong. Oh, first, I'll get to the door, I'll spin the pocket watch, and I'll reach into like my front coat pocket and pull out one of my anti-anxiety pills and knock it back. And then I will burst into the room with full confidence that I should be there and that I know what I'm doing.
Thanks, Alan, for that stretch. Ooh, needed it.
Stretch.
Kamin, you walk through the door with confidence, making sure you kind of close it so that way they don't spot Sludig and Amina or even just their shadows in the room behind you. And beyond, a bit unexpected in a place like this. It's a sort of subterranean common area. Um, there's some tables nearby with bottles of booze and food strewn out up on them. Um, there's a table in the center where gambling and all sorts of varieties of games happen. There's a door at the far side of this room, which isn't as smoothly finished as the previous one was. And then toward your right, there's a slight incline with some stairs and a door, but a different door. Before you can even begin to figure out what is on that door and why it's so weird looking, you look at the people that are sitting here gambling. You spot two people, stitched robes, their faces pale, skin drawn. Some really warped looking cultists sitting there, cards at their fingertips, long overgrown nails, even blood on a little bit of blood on the table with whatever kind of things they've offered up to bet. And sitting across from them, across from the one empty seat, Kamin, what does your friend Hudson look like?
That was mean. Oh. Give me a moment.
All right, I'm gonna go toilet cat while you take a moment.
While I
God.
die of anxiety.
Well, at least
Yeah,
he
maybe
already
you
took
should have taken the
meds.
pill like 20 minutes earlier to give it
20.
time to start working.
I had a better toilet cat too. BRB.
I really didn't put a description of my backstory. Here's a note to all of you fun kids out there. Put descriptions in your backstory so that when your dungeon master pulls them back out to torture you, you can give them a description.
That felt like a and suddenly you see your dead wife at the end of the table moment. Right
It
there.
was. Well, the this is complicated. We're on stream, so I don't know how much I want to talk
Discuss. Yeah, I'm actually gonna run to the bathroom right quick too.
I'm gonna sit here in silence to the stream and look up descriptions of things. Hello, everyone.
I see everyone left.
Yeah, you got up and went to the bathroom, and I was left here to.
To
They all
stew.
left, and then I was left to dwell in my own punishment of my own making. Hudson's a bigger dude, probably like 6'4" to 6'5", very broad, muscled, a guy, bald head, probably just like black mustache, no other facial hair, well shaven, fair skinned, not well. Probably tan. No, that would make more sense because he worked outside. Tanned skin. That would make more sense.
I do want to become
Originally,
famous.
at least.
Oh man. Thank you for asking. Be an
Oh
outlaw.
my gosh.
And for Gitoto.
Are you gonna go eat? Once we're
Anyway.
done.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, pretty nondescript, big old sailor dude.
I imagine, kind of have one of those like, big thick pea coats, like kind of fisher pea coats,
Yeah.
and you see him sitting there just like that, looking as, big and burly as ever, and looks up at you and says, "Hey, bud, come sit in for a game."
Does Kamin know who this is?
Weirdly, you do. Like, he's familiar. You may not know his name, but he's familiar. And you're like, yeah.
I will
Dude.
take it. It's the my confidence is oozing into the room. I am already a friend to everyone here. So I will quickly swagger on over to the table and plop down next to him. It's been too long.
What brings you to these parts?
Big long tunnel full of water.
This big belly laugh. And smacks the cultist next to him on the shoulder, who kind of like looks at him with these beady eyes sunken in. Just deal him in. Starts dealing out cards. He says, so how you been doing? What you been up to?
Well, drifting mostly, job to job, doing what I can, making ends meet, really.
Sorry to say, we never found you after you went overboard.
I washed up somewhere, apparently.
That's how it is. That's how everything happens for a reason. That's what my mom always told me.
Yep.
All right, so how much you gonna bet in here? Here's a couple copper pieces. I know how you like to drink away your money.
Oh, that was the old me. I'll lay a silver piece down on the table, slide it in.
High roller. Well, you say you're drifting from place to place. Where are you headed to now?
I'm nowhere specific, just kind of waiting on the next job to float along. You know how it is.
Oh, I do know how it is. Are you looking for work?
Always.
Well, I would love to have you along.
And what it is exactly you're getting up to.
Well, as I've reached into my old age, I've taken more into consideration of just making the world a better place.
Huh. I guess that has a multitude of different perspectives of looking on it.
Ain't that the truth? But, I try to be open-minded. My mama taught me that, too.
Be open-minded before your mind gets opened.
That's good. That sounds like something my daddy would say. Well, I've heard Driftchapel's been bustling this time of year.
It's a dead town. I mean, I've hung out for a week or so. It's slow,
Well, them kind of small towns, they have one person to do a job, and so you could be that one person. be set for the rest of your life.
Be stuck for the rest of your life.
You haven't changed too much. Still always trying to look at the next thing, trying to better yourself and, go on, learn new skills and do all that kind of stuff. Never content, right?
That's me. So, at this point, Kamin has been able to piece together that this person used to know whoever I was.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
He says, actually, I think I might find myself in Driftchapel sometime soon. I'm looking to retire. And if it's as quiet and slow as you make it sound, might be a good place to settle down.
If that's what you're into, I guess. It's not the prettiest place to sit and rot, but
They got good bars, got good places to gamble.
bar. And there's a a few tables here or there, a fighting pit there, but every town's got them. Nothing to write home about.
And at this point, game is going on, just playing a simple game of poker. And it's at this point, Kamin, whenever one of these cultists sitting next to you speaks up, you sort of snap out of it for a second and look at them. And they're pointing at you, saying, "He cheats! He's cheating! He's cheating!"
You're welcome to try and prove it, friend.
Oh, look! He's got a... Hey, what is that? And gesturing toward a tentacle that's kind of coming out from underneath your jacket. Against your
How'd that get
command a
there?
little bit.
What, yours doesn't do that every now and then, too?
The other one says, Wait a minute. He's the
piece
one
together?
that... He... Birdsong Estate! He killed Aveline!
Ate her brains, too.
And Hudson from the opposite side of the table says, I heard about that. That was pretty good work.
Some of my best.
Have you wanted to explore those skills any?
Why else would I be here?
You just said so. I can help with that.
Oh, no. Cool. My brain has turned to pudding.
Is that what you want, Kamin?
It's kind of hard to define what any of us really wants, now, isn't it? So, just to clarify, he called me Kamin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's just making things worse for Bradley.
Yep.
I don't really know.
Well, how about you just come with me? We'll sort it all out. I can see you've got a lot on your mind. We'll figure it out.
to do. Okay.
Stands up and gestures over to that door off to the side that was weird and different. And he points at it and says, So, these doors taken some time to forge. Essentially, we're trying to figure out a way to move easier, make it easier on ourselves to travel around. And it points over, and it's essentially multiple stone rings. They can turn and spin. It's like those Skyrim puzzle doors, but with like 5 rings, and then at the middle is just an arrow. So it's a little complicated at first, but effectively, you turn it in the right combination, spin the arrow where you need to go, and it'll take you there. And he spins it back to its sort of stationary spot. And it's like a constellation. And it reminds you of the map that Sludic holds on to. All the little points, you can see some of those on there. It says, but we need to go to Driftchapel. But one of the things you notice right before he starts spinning all the rings, if you recall, I don't have the videos linked up to it. The Driftchapel map and the regional map. So it's sort of Driftchapel at the coast, and then all of the different, like, branching the bogs and the different towns off to the side of the Withered Road. But with the map that you found from Aveline, there was all little spots where they had formed little gates, little ponds, where you had first met Dieter, and where Amina almost got taken. All of those spots are kind of marked on this weird little stone constellation key. But then there's one farther point, way far west and way far south of the center. But he spins it around, makes it into crazy combination, spins the arrow a few times, and eventually says, well, I think it's about time to go retire in Driftchapel. What do you say? We'll figure this all out. And at this point, Kamin, you look over. 2 cultists sitting on either side of you as he has turned all the different things. He's not wearing the same robes. He's wearing, normal peacoat. Little almost newsy cap. Doesn't have the same tattoos, markings, anything. Stands out in high contrast compared to them. And they're both still looking at you viciously like you just cheated at a game of poker.
I'll stand up from the table, drop another silver piece on it, just look at the 2 cultists for your troubles. Walk past them over towards Hudson, and then, before I forget, I've got a couple of acquaintances, helpful tools, hanging out in the other room. You mind if they tag along?
Unfortunately, only 2 can pass through the door at a time.
It's a weird door.
Magic has its limits.
That it does.
It's okay, though. We'll figure. And at this point, you catch Hudson, lean in real close, whispering to you.
Can I make an insight check?
Sure.
Or try to make an insight
Go
check
for it.
with my wonderful -2 insight modifier? Oh wait, I'm proficient in insight.
Wow.
Whoa! That makes that roll a 9.
I feel like being proficient in a skill that you're bad at the ability with is like going to Boy Scouts and like learning how to tie knots, but like
No
not
useful
having
knowledge.
any of the dexterity or mind power to tie a good knot.
Yeah.
like I know how to do it. Terrible at it. He seems very genuine. He's wanting the best for you and is trying to help you in any way that he can. He knows you're in a predicament and is trying to help you out of it.
Oh, dude.
At this point, Sludig and I, we're still behind the door, correct?
Yep. And
Yeah.
you hear very normal. It's very normal. You hear Kamin making small talk and jibing with people on the other side as they're playing poker. It's all very hunky-dory and normal.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast Detect Magic.
Ooh, this is true. Kamin, you do have inspiration. Meet more inspired you.
I did take note of that on my character sheet. I appreciate that.
Sorry.
It's just fine.
Rachel strikes so hard to be like,
Thank you, Rachel.
I know, but what do I do with those? A free 18 doesn't make moral decisions for me.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. So Amina casting Detect Magic. I don't know if my mic picked it up, but Rachel from the other room just busted out laughing to Bradley saying an 18 can't help me.
That's the quotable line of the session.
Oh, let me type that up real fast. Let me. Did it not save? It might not have saved. Yeah. Shit. What did you say earlier, Bradley? I smell.
I feel a good swindle coming on.
Feel a good swindle.
Bradley coming up with all the juicy liners. Juicy lines this session.
And then his character's gonna disappear forever.
I was about to say, and then my character goes away forever because I don't know what I'm about to do. I'm gonna end this character and look and say,
Strange.
"Cool, roll a new character."
Just make a new one.
Alright, so roll me 3d6. Okay.
Okay, never roll.
Now do it again.
I saw that in a meme, but it was paired with Mr. Sir from Holes. He said, "You're not digging for anything. You're building character."
Yep. Let's see here. So Daniel with a Detect Magic. There. Oh, I also added the quote. Dang it. Okay. You see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic. You learn at school, if any. The spell can penetrate most barriers. I will go at caveat. It is. There's magic going on basically all around you, but especially there is. You can effectively, with your Detect Magic, almost X-ray vision-esque, see an outline of Kamin on the other side of the door. But it is not a particular school of magic, which you have been able to sort of, this particular brand, this type of magic, you have most been able to compare to the cult's magic, this strange, otherworldly, eldritch type of magic.
Mhm.
And that's the aura you're getting from Kamin.
As I walk across the room towards the door,
Yep.
I'm going to cast Minor Illusion on the other side of the door that I entered into.
Okay.
I'm just going to make a little illusory piece of parchment. Going to Driftchapel through the weird door. I'll be in touch. And I also dismiss Malachi from there. And Kamin walks over to the door with Hudson.
Hudson takes your hand, pushes in a little arrow. Unless Sludig and Amina want to do anything as they start to hear a strange bit of grinding on the other side of the door. And Amina, with the length of Detect Magic, you can see the sort of magical aura of Kamin get up from a sitting position and move over to one side of the room as this is happening. And you get the little illusory letter.
Do we stop him or do we let him go?
Oh my god, I don't know.
Neither do I.
If I could get Sludig and Amina to roll initiative for me, and Kamin, go and roll initiative too. This is how we'll play this out.
Woo! Okay.
18.
I got a 7.
Kamin,
18.
what did you get, Drew?
18.
What's
It
your
makes
dex
my
mod,
heart
Drew?
hurt.
+2.
That's my dex mod.
Okay, so all right, then let's do the math. Bradley, what was your total?
18 or 16 plus 2, 18.
Drew, what was your total?
16 +2 for 18. Yeah.
And then Daniel, you got like a 7,
Uh,
something lower.
wait. Were we supposed to add our dex mods to initiative rolls?
Yes.
Okay, I was today years old when I found that out.
That's okay.
Okay, that effectively makes my result now an 11.
I was today years old. That was good. Then, here's how we will play this. For the sake of an interesting story. Actually, either way would be interesting. Sludig, basically, yes or no. Do you try to go through the door or not? Yes or no?
I am. Give me 5 seconds.
That's effectively the purpose of this initiative, is that there was
I
moment of
know.
hesitation between you and Amina. Kamin's already there. Now you just got to decide.
Because, like, as a player, I don't want to steal away Bradley's thing and going. But Sludig also does not want you to die.
The Bradley as a player is never going to hold you accountable for a player decision like that. That's fine.
Since we had tied initiative order, kind of what I had expected to happen, what played out in my head when it first happened that we tied, especially with +2/+2, was I open the door, but it's like sees him teleport. Because I'm too late. It's like already happening. Because he's already made the choice to go. He's already there. So now it's just me and cultists. So I guess I open the door.
You, Sludig, you and Amina sit there for a second. The illusion disappears. You grab the handle of the stone door and throw it open to an entirely empty room. No furniture, no cultists, no Kamin. And that's where we're gonna stop. Woo!
Logan, you're killing me, man. You're killing me.
I'm killing myself, apparently.
You got that extra character rolled up, right? You're gonna be playing Ilya now.
I'm about to roll up one.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
What have I done?
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, you got a way quicker ride back to Driftchapel. We have to fucking swim up river. Potion gone.
I still have my potion. At least Amina has the ring of swimming
That's true.
now.
Holy shit.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for
You're
clipping
welcome.
the I was today years old, Rachel. That's a very good. That's very good.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Thank you, Bradley, for playing along.
Mm.
Thank you, Logan, for psychologically torturing me.
Yes. And honestly, like I'm gonna be honest, I think this happens a lot of the times when I DM nowadays. Is I get to the time, like we start playing, it's time to start playing D&D, and I'm like, my notes? And I toss them to the side because I'm like, that's stupid, why would I do
Every
that?
fucking time I play.
That kind of happened
Or
this time, is I'd prepped such a different session, and we were like starting to play, and I was like, "Oh, fuck that, I want to do something like I wanna do something different." And yeah, so this was very much like I wanted to push you guys. I wanted to push your buttons.
And push buttons you did.
Yes.
I'm just Bradley is very, very frazzled and confused by the situation
Good. That's
for
what I
a
was saying.
multitude of reasons.
We will
the
see what
viewership is not
happens.
aware
We'll, have
of.
to, we'll be in touch. We'll talk about it.
Oh boy.
Very interested to see what's gonna happen.
Me too.
I might just have Bradley DM the next session instead. And we'll DM for Amina and Sludig.
Oh, I don't know if I like the sound of that.
I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, that could mean many different things.
I won't kill you immediately.
Or ooh. Nah, I'll talk to Bradley about it.
Ooh.
Mostly, it'll depend on what Sludig and Amina end up trying to go do. Because that's sort of the downside of where you're at, is the river's kind of going just one way. I mean, you could try to swim against the current and swim for a while. It'll just take you a while and a lot of energy. So,
Yeah.
And if you recall, you were like several days away from
Oh
Drift
yeah, I
Chapel.
mean, like at least this time, if we go
Yeah.
back out the normal exit towards the witches again, we should, thanks to Fada, have a smoother ride out of the bog.
Right.
We left those horses or that horse there.
Oh yeah, your poor horse. Cock.
Fucking. Oh yeah, I was like Roach. No.
That's different media. Oh man.
That one was copyright.
Yeah.
I think I said it last time, and I'll say it again for anyone who's still watching. I had mentioned that originally this campaign was going to go anywhere from like 14 to 20 sessions, like a 14 minimum, because the original Shadows Over Driftchapel supplement has like 7 primary encounters. Of course, I've had to throw all that out the window. But I kind of predicted, like, you know, each one will take about 2 sessions worth, plus downtime in between, so at least 14 sessions. And this was session 10. So we're getting kind of close, which, that's theoretical. We probably still have a while to go. But I think part of me, like, kind of knowing, like, we're kind of reaching a theoretical end, it's making me really, like, alright, I can take some chances. I can do some spicy stuff. I can put a little
Kill some
mustard on this
characters.
session, like, which I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, I don't know a quicker way to move some plot along than to teleport one of the main characters away from the rest of the group.
Oh.
Because now I can only assume we're going to try and get to Driftchapel as quickly as possible. But man, we'll see. We'll see how quick that actually is. It says shadows over Driftchapel, Logan. Maybe we just have to fly above the sky, and that's where
That's
Katu
it.
is.
And part of me, I was like, is this a little too unfair for Kamin? But then I started thinking, like, you know, if that had been Sludig's wife, Sludig would have been gone.
Oh, yeah.
He would have just disappeared. How was he
Ilya
with
could have been
Amina?
sitting there with like 8 fish people. I've been like, oh, yeah, sure, let's go.
Let's go. Let's get out of here. And I'm like, you know what? No, that's a fair. That's a fair thing.
Logan even warned me, 4 weeks ago when Drew was going through all of his trauma. He said, "Don't worry, Bradley, it's coming."
That's common.
It came all over my face.
Like a gallon of milk, just right all over there. I like
Elmer's
having my
glue
door
from a bottle
open because
used
I
in
can hear
elementary
Rachel's
school.
reactions. And Bradley, you said that, and Rachel went, "Yikes!"
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's it for this session. And theoretically, yes, 2 weeks ago we had to cancel because I was out of town, actually doing a different D&D session in person. Which, if I could play this campaign in person, holy shit!
Y'all
Oh,
moving to
what a-
Minnesota, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll all just go to New Mexico and hang out there. You're right.
Such
But,
vastly
yes.
different climates.
Yeah. A little bit different. Yeah, if we like did a road trip and like went and visited like Drew, Bradley, or even if Drew came up and like visited me and then Bradley and then Daniel, you'd have to pack in a year's worth of clothes for all of the different weathers and climates.
Right.
Nah.
Oh yeah, Drew, you wear tank tops all year long. You're fine.
Dude, they keep warning me about how bad the weather's gonna get up here. I guess we'll see.
See, they did the same thing when I was in Illinois, and it wasn't that bad. I was like, yeah, it's snow and cold. Like,
I went to App. Like it didn't happen all the time, but when it did, it didn't bother
you were
me.
prepared for it at least. And even
Right.
in App, even if there wasn't snow, you could probably count on like below freezing temperatures and wind most of the time.
Right.
Like,
Or just barely above freezing temperatures and rain.
in rain, which is just as
Oh,
bad to me.
yeah.
Honestly, worse. I
Yeah,
might
it's
get
worse than like snow right around
Especially in
freezing. Yeah.
True.
Because
Yeah,
Boone,
and-
everything floods when it rains.
At least in Illinois, one of the things, yeah, I didn't want to be cocky about it either, but one of the things I experienced when first moving to Illinois, you know, they're like, oh my god, you be prepared for pretty cold and snow and stuff. And then the first time it snowed, and every time it snowed, they are so much worse at keeping the roads clear than they were in Boone and at App.
Oh,
I underappreciated App's system for clearing the roads from snow. Because even in Illinois, where they get so much snow, it was horrible.
That's not reassuring.
It was slushy everywhere. They did a shit
Ew.
job at keeping it clear. So hopefully, like, Minnesota is
Yeah, maybe good old Minnesota will be a
is
little
a
better
million
about
times
that.
better, but who
I'll root for
knows?
that.
Yeesh. Anyway,
Part of me feels as though they have to here, and especially like Boone being a college town. Like no one knows how to fucking drive.
that's
in the
fair.
snow in
And
North
you know
Carolina.
the bus system and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Who freaking knows? I also like, you know, I worry in Minnesota that I wonder if it like snows too often for them to keep the roads clear. Like if there's like, fuck it, whatever, it's gonna
We
snow
give
anyway.
up. Ride a bike if you want to go.
Yeah.
anywhere.
Basically.
Oh jeez, can't wait
Put on
for
your
it.
snowshoes.
I am excited. It's been too long since I've seen snow.
love cold weather.
Yeah, living in California, it was
Yeah,
a drive up
that's-
to the top of a mountain to see snow.
I'll say Drew and Daniel was the last time you saw snow.
I mean,
On my drive across the country to North Carolina, somewhere in Arizona, we were like at the top of a like little plateau, and there was snow in the shade.
Really?
Yeah,
mhm.
but
And I
we
mean,
were like
like,
way high elevation wise.
Oh.
even here, like, yeah, we're in a desert, but like in the winter, we're technically in higher elevation than Denver by like I think 1,000 feet. So
Oh.
like, yeah, we could. It does snow here. I mean, it doesn't like stick or for very long, but like it can snow here.
Today I learned.
Where have you
Yeah, I
been,
was
boy?
today years old when I learned. Because, like, Denver is like the mile high city. Here I am thinking with a name like that. Surely
That's the
that's one of
high,
the
like, that's
highest
it.
altitude cities, not someone's 1,000 feet above you in elevation.
At least I'm pretty sure that's right. Like I know we're higher in elevation by a lot.
That kind of makes sense because of like plateau.
Hmm.
Man.
Learning
Today
I mean,
is
you
a-
notice it a lot more like on the drive between like Texas to New Mexico because the entire time it's like one constant like rise,
up.
constant slope. Yeah, and you feel it over time. So yeah,
Man, now we need to keep playing up and through winter so we can all do check-ins of like, how's the weather? Which I guess, okay, that's a good segue. Speaking of, we'll be here in theoretically 2 weeks, provided that time doesn't get all wonky as it is wont to do.
I messed up and got my weeks off thinking that this was the last week of September or August. And I'm going up to my brother's place in Williamsburg. 2
Williamsburg?
weeks. Yeah.
That's not that far.
I mean, I hate to put it in Justin's mouth, but just come see me.
We'll talk. I'm not gonna cry on stream. That's okay then. So you will be not available on the 20th?
On the 4th,
Oh, what? Hold on.
The
Sorry.
3rd?
Today is the 20th.
whatever the
I'm a fucking
Friday is.
Friday is
Today's
the
the 20th.
First Friday?
3rd.
Yeah. Because that is the day I'll be driving up.
We want to adjust our weekly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing anything next Friday
Me neither.
if people are available.
Okay, I had a bad idea. I don't have any plans for it yet, so I can't confirm whether it'll be a good or a bad idea. But my first thought was we do it at the same time, but I do a one-on-one with Bradley as Kamin.
Ooh.
Then I got all sick in my stomach. Now Bradley needs the anti-anxiety pill.
Rachel says we might be doing something next Friday. I don't know what that is. It's not on our calendars. Oh, that's not the right calendar. Hold on. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Rachel surprised me with their mom visiting.
Aw. Yay.
So no next week probably. But at the very least,
We could do the 10th instead of like going all the way to the 17th.
What we could do, and I hate to suggest this, me and Logan session on the 3rd, and a you and Daniel session on the 10th. And then everybody meet up on the 17th.
That works for me. I think that's a Logan scenario as
That's
to
absolutely a Logan
yeah.
scenario.
we'll figure out our plans. We'll figure it out.
talk.
At the very least, there will be a session probably on the 3rd of September.
yeah, it's already there.
2021 is ending soon.
Oh god, it's almost 2022.
Like a light speed.
Wake me up when September ends.
2020 went by so quickly. 2021 is also going by too quickly.
I think I wrote in on something like the other week. I wrote 2020 on it, and I was like, I mean, I guess it's all the same
Still,
now.
still feels
Time
like
is a
it.
construct.
Time is a construct. It's all phony. It's all a cult of Katu construct.
Uh-huh.
Anything outside the realms of today, yesterday, and tomorrow means nothing to me anymore.
Truly. Well, on that note, at the very least, we'll be playing on the 3rd, doing something with some of these people. But talking about weather, I always ask Bradley how the weather is because he said it the first time. Because Bradley's been on the spot enough. Drew, how is the weather in Driftchapel?
Uh,
Where Kamin is now.
gloomier, almost like a heavier fog than normal has set in. It's a dark, daft place.
You always gotta make me sad.
Getting
Drew.
worse. Hey man, I'm just expecting that this place has lived up to its name and just gotten shittier.
Well,
Well, now that Kamin's there, it's gonna get a little bit better.
or worse.
Yeah. A few seconds after the weather forecast, there's a slight ray of hope.
Yeah, sure, something like that.
A slight tentacle of hope.
Tentacle of hope. Well, on that tentacle of hope, good night, everyone. I hope to see more people
golly.
in 2 weeks. Woo!
Thanks for tuning in,
Goodbye.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.